as a democratic, independent, sovereign state. Now, Queen Elizabeth II was and is still the reigning sovereign of this nation. It is an absolute indictment on that royal family to have, and furthermore, it's an indictment on the young people today, because Brother House, you probably have to educate your listeners in respect to what happened between 67 and 68 in respect to the election. And because whatever is necessary must happen in 1 year. We must move. And I'm saying, pardon? I can't hear you on my end. Pardon? Okay, I'm trying to get there. See, I'm gonna of the disabled. Brother Thompson. Brother Thompson. My child, my first child. I have 3 children. I'm only 42 now. My first child is a semi-disabled boy that needs 3 surgeries. I need you to please let me speak to the nation. Because I know I'm staying on cue. Under the former government, okay, let me just come home, bring it home. Under the former government, the disabled perished, in my view. In the last 1 year, instead of the march today be a march about the disabled, and I'm talking of not only those in the state like my son and others in, I'm talking those who are mentally disabled by what have happened to us as a nation in the last 1 year. The government has disabled a country. The people are allowing corrupt men, in my humble opinion, to All right, Brother Thompson, this is. You have to cut that caller. It doesn't matter. No, don't be sorry, because you'll hear the rest of yourself in a minute. I want the nation to know I am sick and tired of this particular talk show host, Sidney Walter MacArthur Thompson. All right? He has a hidden agenda. And one of those agenda, he does not like how when Amos speak, I speak in respect to issues surrounding our past. And in respect to our present situation, it stems all the way back here. Okay? At least for me that is. And for a nation it is. Because as a nation, Ortland Bodie show I was on earlier today, they won't let me on. They don't want you to hear the truth. The Right Honorable Perry Glaston Christie ought to be investigated for treason, Mr. Thompson. For corruption. As for the Miller House, for treason. I'll take care of that myself. Now, I lay claim to royal lineage and historical facts. I don't need the Bahamas to vote on this. My talent will bring the wealth to me. I just need you all to understand. Reject this. Why do you have to go? Ask yourself, why do you think you have to go to the Clarence Bean building to license your car after so many years? Clarence Bean, let's find his name. Okay? Let's find his name. Mr. Thompson, he can talk all he wants. He can't show you all this, though. He can't teach you all this. And when it comes to the Constitution, furthermore, he might be a professional and know a lot. But he know and I know, according to the Constitution, he either is one of these people who run in this country and playing with the people's emotion and psyche. Because the fact of the matter, under the Bahamian Constitution, these men in other country would have been, or in America, where electrocuted. People lost their lives. They could march down to the government, furthermore, can give rights to the hotel god Atlantis for online gaming, but deny, well, the people really deny it, so the government can't do nothing if the people deny it. But the fact of the matter, the online part of it, the Bahamian guys, them could at least do that. They're prohibiting these people from doing that. under the Bahamian Constitution, any chapter 2, chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the Bahamian Constitution, any law, this is a sovereign state. Number 2 say, any law that is in violation of the Constitution, you cannot give right to a foreigner in this modern day and time without hearing from the royal seed. Now, Bahamas, they hide who I am from me for 43 years. Obviously, then they hid it from my mom and pa. Okay? And from their parents, my mother and father. Okay? My name goes back to the dawn of time. Amos Jr. Miller. Our wealth, my talent, the government them, no, it was billions. Mr. Christie, I shall release the DVD that was given to you personally by me on June 12th of last year, 2012. It shows talent. It shows industry. It shows a young man trying at that time, coming out of 5 years and 5 days of Mr. Ingram, technically 15 altogether, and coming out of that trauma as a young man. You saw the talent I have. Your wife saw it. She's a Hannah from Acklands. And with the greatest respect to her, both of y'all are lawyers. Both of y'all know the power of the Miller name. Y'all both, especially y'all too. Okay? Y'all, along with the senior lawyers in this country, know which name, when it comes to land holding. My grandfather married a Cox. The case in respect to the Cox and Archers family were going on in court from 1964. And when I finish with these records, I shall reveal to the people the conspiracy, the Bahamas government and Great Britain, the royal family to be Pacific, and the British Parliament. Thus, that brings in the church. The royal family represents the defender of the faith. Well, there's the defender of the faith of their God. I'm the defender of the faith of Yahweh, the Hebrew people God. And according to these records, the Hebrew people walked on Acklands in a time when they would have looked like the pharaohs in the 1800s, 17, 16, 15, 14, 92 we came. Now, this is how far my name go back. Miller, owner of the mills that responsible for grinding the grain into flour for every and the world to eat. That's who we are. We feed people. Thus, these records will show and prove. My grandfather and the men and women in this book, in these records, documented record, historical facts, was very concerned about the poor people. Now, why am I shouting? I'm so sorry, first of all. I'm sorry for shouting. I'm shouting because you got Randall Jones will hang up on me. Sidney Walter McCarter Thompson will hang up on me. Otland Bodie sat to the bar before. They would hang up on me. All of them, Randall Jones is the only one who would own his own television and radio station. But you see, the interest is bringing this name, Willis Miller name, to the forefront in a time when all of them know they, in my humble opinion, is compromised in one way or the other. Compromised, and let me use Randall Jones for example. He owns a radio and television station. However, you need advertisers. Listen, the records, what I have, the videotape that is in my computer, the disk drives that I have information back up on, that Mr. Christie had in his possession from June, would have caused me to be able to feed myself. Other Bahamians have the same thing trying to see them, and they play in politics in the parliament with the people's lives. And I rebuke this government as worse than the former one. May the people of this country rebuke Mr. Christie in that cabinet. These people are playing with our lives. Now, these ones are gone. But I say to God Most High, thank you for showing me who I am. I am the royal heir, Bahamas. And all I need is for y'all to understand the severity of what's happening. They sold us out. They know it's only one house, one name in respect to the history that is, see, because they try to teach y'all about majority rule in 73. The fact of the matter is 67 came as a result of these records. When as relates to Acklands, Cricket and Island and Long Keys Association and all the other associations where on the islands where these people lived. They lived on the family islands. Now, my grandfather, as a miller, was elected for 52 years as a large brother. Hubert Ingram and Perry Christie, y'all large brothers. And y'all two brothers have destroyed our country. Y'all did everything in your power to make sure a whole lot of Bahamian people, excuse me, is taken care of, but Amos Miller Moat is white. Well, we know why, and it's called Mr. President. Huh? In the minutes. Huh? And number one as the founding father, who suggests the idea that it never happened, and he was a great man. He sailed to Auckland's. Okay? He sailed Auckland's. These are the names of all the people in Auckland's. Loftus Roker parents, Elkin Roker, and other great people. Sarah Johnson, Emily Cox, who became Emily Cox Miller. My grandmother, the mother of my father. Their history is greater. Now, I can tell you all. The birth of Her Majesty Elizabeth, Her Majesty Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, born April 21st, 1926, ascended the throne February 6, 1952, proclaimed Queen February 8, 1952, and crowned at Westminster Abbey 2nd of June, 1953. From 53 to 2013, the 2nd of June, the day of my birthday, will make 60 years. So, on the 60th year, you're hearing, ma'am, Honorable Her Majesty the Queen, the young man who now knows his history is royalty. My name says it. The history books recorded it. My grandfather was elected for 52 years. And all I need is the Bahamian people to recognize that the two sitting prime ministers have sold us out. I'm telling them, they hid this from me and my mother and parents and their parents. That's who we supposed to be. Thus, they know this house would have given the people, according to these records, my grandfather then was about feeding the poor and the needy. That's why I was very disappointed that Sidney Walter Carter Thompson, okay, hang up on me, because if I were to read this minutes, down in this minutes, it would show where these people was concerned about the poor and the needy. All right? Now to God be the glory. I will serve notice to the Governor General. So other folks, it's no reason, it's no mistake that you all put my cousin, Anton Miller, to be your aide. What game you all thought you all could continue to play on my house? The house is the royal house. Y'all are a bunch of criminals if y'all do not recognize these records. In respect to those, the three prime ministers knew me. Now, I recognize the father of the nation because under his 25-year reign, this country grew. But you two try to destroy everything him and my grandparents' generation. He represents my grandfather's generation. You and Mr. Ingram represent my mother and father generation. And you'll continue the conspiracy. Mr. Ingram, you was even an agent for the American government against the Bahamas prime minister and people and government. So, at the end of the day, I serve Mr. Obama notice. I will levitate on y'all as I obliterate your little dirty secret about electricity. How many homes have been built on this planet so far? How many homes need electricity? Because that's the historical, that's the history I would have made in respect to what I did. Y'all saw what I did. I took scrap metal and made something beautiful out of it. And for this, Mr. Christie them knew, like y'all knew, my house was always a building house. My grandfather built the sloops, sailed it to Haiti, came back with food when England was trying to starve the people to death. And that is the truth. All right? And feed the Auckland's, Cricket Island, Long Beach, and anybody else who he could have find. He fed. And he was a great man. He was not perfect, though. It's amazing how God always used unperfect homes to do perfect jobs. Well, this is the perfect job that needs to be done. If this nation does not remove Perry Glaston Christie out of that chair within 1 year, we will be picking peas out of doo-doo. Now, he lied to the people when he said he was going to do some things. We agree, Mr. Ingram made it difficult, borrowing all this money. However, the natural resources in this country, both of them sold. Mr. Christie served as a consultant to the BPC, Bahamas Petroleum Company, the very same company he's now consulting with as Prime Minister. This is absolutely modern day prioritizing so Great Britain could get back everything. And listen to me, you can't tell me these men do not have ill-gotten gain and proceeds somewhere in the Cayman Islands, and the British government owned that. And if it is so, they got to bow to these people. That explains why they swear to the Queen and not to us. We are the sovereign people of this country. Now, it's maybe it's cheaper to just take the bomb and blow us up. If that's the case, because either we're sovereign or we're not. And if we're sovereign, you know, we're in the world, Great Britain supposed to be allowing this nonsense, and they sitting on the Security Council. What kind of security y'all sitting on? I shall reveal some things then. My name is Amos Jr. Miller. I'm going to the Bank of the Bahamas to get some money. And if I don't meet it there, if I'm denied, then I make General Electric pay. Jeffrey Malt, you need to be fired. You are part of a conspiracy along with the Bahamian government. That corporation is a part of a conspiracy to defraud the Bahamian people out of every drop of our natural resources and assets. And Amos Jr. Miller said so. His ex-wife, Tiffany Patricia Roll, sits as your general manager in that corporation. And she has stolen from me. Yet she's the mother of my children. I'm the royal seed here, not you. Tiffany Patricia Roll, you took the bribe because you wanted to cover up the adulterous affair you were having in that office with Emmanuel Francis. General Electric Company brought me before Sir Michael Barnett, the Chief Justice. Yet, years before he held that post, I said, as a political person talking for the PLP against the FNM, I said on national airway when Hubert Alexander Ingram. And it's amazing how both the former Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition today, all of them have the name Alexander, just like the Royal Her Majesty Elizabeth Alexandra have the woman name to their name. She's Alexandra, this is Alexander. And I'm telling you, Hubert Ingram and Perry Christie and the other Alexander, all of them is one. And all of them is doctors, lawyers, very wealthy. Their children never goes to no Bahamian government school. They go to private school, and I'm telling you, we have been taken for fools for the last time. Now, no politician in history was ever elected. There is not much men could say they was elected for nothing in this country for any office, any religious or politics or social for 50 plus years. Now, there's a reason for that, and I'm saying because he was the seed. And Great Britain, you made sure he became number one, but make sure the child that was born to succeed him 40 years later never have enough sense academically to express himself any way better than this, but either which way it was Yahweh doing, because he wanted y'all to see with the face of the warrior. And this ain't no golden lion. This is a real human being, black, human, Israelite, Hebrew Israelite. And you can't tell me but no Jew. And I'm no Jew and I ain't no Gentile either. Y'all get it right. I'm a Bahamian, offspring of the Atlantic slave order. It was you, Great Britain, and you, Spain, and you now, America, and you, China, and you, Church of Rome. It's y'all with all of y'all. One have political reasons, and the other one, the royal family in Rome, they're the ones responsible for teething up all of the black people, gold, diamond, rubies, and pearl, and now they want the rest. And I'm telling them, y'all can have it. But remember, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The Bahamian people need to wake up, unite behind this voice, because the rest of the radio station trying to take me off the air didn't want me to articulate this for them to understand. Why? Because they hid it from me, they hide it from you, and if Great Britain have a right to have a royal family, you have a right to have one in the Bahamas too. And secondly, that explains why Atlantis have rights, and the same black Bahamian brothers who got the money have none. Yet in court, they system own the court, and if the black niggas don't know, the system now has taken all the money that they would have raked they would have made from the poor. They're taking it back from the courts, and then they still rule against them. They're doing everything in their power. These two men have sold us out. Now is the time to seize our power. Seizing our power out of the hands of Perry Glasson, Christian Hubert, Alexander Ingram, Simply Maine, and anyone who sat in cabinet with them. And the record does not reflect on certain issues. No one gave them the right to sell our country for the time they govern and for no foreseeable future. That in itself goes against the Constitution, because the people did not agree to that. Now, let me tell you all something. I ain't starving for nothing while the natural resources of this country is in the hands of some white foreigner or black. It doesn't matter. And by the way, I'm sorry, this is not a racist conversation. This is about people who, no one can take anything from an American. I was in the tourism business all my life, almost 30 years, and my greatest friends are tourists, white tourists. In fact, I like the white tourists. The black ones, when they come, they try to get us, because we cool, to go against the white tourists. And I stand up against that nonsense. So just how I show respect, you show respect. Respect begot respect. Manners begot manners. Now today I said judgment before the people, that we all may choose justice. Investigate these men. Bring them up on charges. The Commissioner of Police, your constitutional post. You need to arrest these men before they arrest you, by bringing your good name down to the dirt. The greatest commissioner this country ever had was Ellingston Greenslade. Second to him, as far as I'm concerned, was Reginald Ferguson. Even though I have a little trouble with Ferguson, who's on the Royal Bahamas Police Force right now, but I haven't, and that's because his girlfriend is the cousin of my ex-wife. All right? And I had to put her out of my place. Okay? So he mad with me, put all kind of CDU boys on me, who he used to ride with before he got promoted to where he at now. They jumped over my wall. I had to run for my life. For this young lady whose claim she divorced me, but when reality set in, is because she was dirty. I cleaned up my life publicly, internationally, and she tried to bring me down and make me look like I was a troublemaker. Yes, I'm a troublemaker when you're speaking the truth. What is the difference between a black foot or a white foot around my throat? All is strangling me. I could breathe through my mouth and my nose, but when you put it around my throat, I could breathe from none. That's both. The one to the top or the one to the bottom. The one to the bottom, I'm telling you. We must investigate these men. 67, 70, 68, there was the election. All right? Bringing forth 68 to 73. Let's do it again. Investigate these two men. Take our country back from these modern-day criminal pirates who have lied, cheated, and stolen just about everything from us. But Yahweh showed up with some talent with this young man. Thus, YouTube, over 100 videos on YouTube. Facebook, when y'all gonna face that? How many young men my age would have done that amount of stuff in this amount of time and he's not educated? It's a reason behind that. You all understand what I'm saying? And I again reiterate, this is not a racist conversation. All right? This is a conversation about right and wrong. Justice or judgment. Right now, the people have been for 40 years. And before that, there's only 40. For 40 years, our nation experienced hardship. Only a select few benefited. Yet, under us a Linden 50-50 deal, everything was cool. So we sell out. They trying to sell trillion, or at least $1 trillion, almost $1 trillion worth of oil, that the people, this country, an independent, democratic, that's CID by the way, country, independent, democratic, CID, That's what we need to call for these two men. But this is a country that is independent, democratic. We're sovereign people. These men don't have that authority. They're only exercising it because we won't do the things. And I'm telling you all, that's because you don't like your black history. You don't know your black history. You don't know who your enemy are, who your enemy is, who the enemies are, and who your enemies is. All right? This is what these people. I'm rare. Yahweh only bring us out. By the way, the name Yahweh was hid and forbidden. Hid from those who are not educated like us. And if they dumb us down. So we could never, ever have enough sense to ever go back to this kind of stuff. But even all they did to me. My second oldest brother lost his life. The school I ended up in, when they took me from Auckland, when mommy bring me back, the school I went to, the primary school, Williamford Primary School, the principal, Mr. Hepburn brother, was the one who killed my second oldest brother, knocking drunken driver. It was a conspiracy all through my life. They start me off in grade 3. If I don't understand grade 1 and 2 work, how you can put me in grade 3? At least you should have tested me, do some stuff, make sure I got it, and if I didn't have it, put me back. But you all promoted, because why? It was an agenda. The agenda is to keep a certain amount of people dumb so they can always have a workforce. It's all about workforce, entertaining them. Okay? Feeding them, entertaining them. You need their workforce. But why me? Why my house? They needed this house to be builders, workers. We don't need them to be educated and go study their name. And in 2013 or 2012, when it's time for election, that young man will be able to understand why his ex-wife left him, because he admitted certain things on the national airwaves. This ain't no game, playing with people's lives, while some foreigner own the natural resources of the people. It is an absolute disgrace. The United Nations Security Council, and I send a strong message to y'all. I have a talent, and I expect for these two men to get out of our way, or else I have no more patience. If y'all can't respect me for what I do for y'all, I show that. Mr. Christie, you got the tape. Now, I have the letter, and I got the other tape they come from. I'm going to show the people at least 1 or 2 things, how I assemble them. These are the simple little things, but how I assemble them, take the picture. Simple as that. It didn't mean nothing to you yet, because you don't have no vision. You don't have no vision. You're old. You're tired. You're washed up. You made a lot of money. Now leave. You got your pension. Now go into with Mr. Go fishing in with Mr. Ingram. 2 of y'all go fishing in. Maybe y'all might find me on the ocean because I know y'all like to throw me overboard like how my black brothers was thrown overboard. Or perhaps y'all might want to see me hiding from somewhere. Reparation for me is seeing this country get rid of you two men. And this country recognizing what y'all two men did in respect to my name. That's what. Excuse me, pardon me. I'm breaking down everything. Computer falling, monitor falling off my little table, mounted table I got here. But through God, this is talent. And many, many more to come. But the world have not yet seen. Bahamian people have talent here, what we can do for ourselves, to take care of ourselves. Not no little 22 people in no parliament talking nonsense, 38 men and women, destroying lives, taking out vengeance on one another, usurping the people's authority and giving away their natural resources of the country so they could take advantage of Bahamians. The only way y'all could get away with these nonsense doing it to Bahamians, who y'all taking y'all vengeance out on, the PLP leader taking out his vengeance out on some FNMs. When the FNM went, the FNM leader taking his vengeance out on some PLPs and FNMs, because the truth of the matter, all of them is crooks. You can't take my food from me and give it to no dog and expect for me to be happy and for me to be humble. No, the Ecclesiastes 3:11, God said, where it says, Yahweh have set eternity into my heart once I accept that. Once I accept that the Lord Yahweh, the Lord Yeshua Christ died for me. This Hebrew Israelite. He set me above y'all. Thus, I have something which y'all afraid to come to light. And this is one. And this is the absolute main one. And global international conspiracy to defraud me out of royal hereditary. As sure as the spirit went to Haile Selassie in Ethiopia, it came to my grandfather's house. And y'all kept it from him. And y'all tried to keep me dumb. The child was born in the year representing from the day of his birth 40 years later. Get it right and don't think I don't know. Get it right and don't think I ain't understand. My grandfather was the president. The day I born, 40 years from there, okay, 43 years from there, the country would be 40. Okay? 43 years later, the country would have be ready to celebrate 40 years as a sovereign nation. And as long as this young man is doing what his grandmother and what that era, that those people in this era, once he living by those principles of the Most High God, he is above criminals. Y'all put me in your prison. Lock me down, put me in your cell, put me in your police car, do all kind of things to me. But y'all think this is a game? Give me all my rights and all my title so my children and this nation could benefit. It's egregious what y'all did to my house, the Willis Miller house, and the house of the Bahamian people totally in general. The people have a leader. They need to go back 180-degree turnaround and find out their leader. Find their leader. And their leader, politically, must be an educated person. You can't vote for Amos. I'm not considered the most educated. You don't vote for me for my lineage. God gave us this. Your family signed to this. That I, when the time come, will not let you down. When I say not let you down, will not let them down. Because they're gone. You here. Once you here, they still here. When you go, these people gone. Then all of them, what they doing all this stuff for, then in other words, they saying, why don't all y'all just hurry up die? So we won't have y'all to deal with, period. So why don't we take back our country from the the sitting Prime Minister, the Honorable PERiOD and Christie, okay? Take this country back now, and then bring this man and the former Prime Minister, and look here, up on charges for corruption. Denial the Bahamian people of every right they needed, everything they needed, every opportunity that came to them, they stole. How many other people like Amos took packages to the different prime minister in the last 21 years and never got a call, or thinking like me, they might have thrown it in the garbage. Yet I made copies. It's a disgrace, Mr. Christie. And may the God Yahweh rebuke your house sharply by taking from y'all two men and giving it to someone else. And all the money y'all get gonna end up in the poor people's hand. Anyway, period. And y'all have a nice day. May Yahweh continue to bring judgment on y'all two men for what y'all allowed to happen in this country.